What's going on, guys? Isaiah here from YuGiOh Gaming, and I have Logan Kai here with me again, and we're going to talk about Tearlaments. Tearlaments is what we believe is going to be the best deck going into the format post-Power of the Elements, and this is our take on what we think the deck is going to look like at the start of the format. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, so this is what we think a Tearlament deck is going to look like at the start of the format, and I'm going to let Logan here go over our deck.
I'm gonna start things off saying I decided to play the danger version of the deck. I think the deck has a higher ceiling and it allows the deck to play through more. Um, so you play two Mothman and three Nessie. Nessie has more synergy with the deck, being an Aqua monster, so you can make Kikrios and the other fusions. Mothman's really good too, and the reason you choose to play Mothman over the other dangers is because it's level 4, so it can help you make Abyss Dweller and Redoer as well as Zeus. Three King of the Swamp, King of the Swamps. It just helps you break boards and helps you trigger your Tearlaments effects, and it allows you to make Chimera going second with because it can search Poly. It can also allow you to make the invoked monster Caliga on your opponent's turn 1 if you can mill it and a Tearlament, or if you open it when you send it off Huffins whenever they use a monster effect. I only chose to play two Shadal monsters. I felt like the Shadal monsters overall were bricks. They were nice to mill, they're okay, and I can actually even see a version where you don't play any Shadals at all. But being able to make a window against if a Splight is like super popular is just too powerful to turn away. But if it becomes a more mid-range format, I could see not playing the Shadal monsters and just focus on the Tearlaments. Um, I decided to max out on all of the Tearlament monsters, so three Hoffins. It's like the hand trap of the deck. It allows you to be able to fusion on your opponent's turn 1 before you even get a turn. I also really like this card against Splight because their Link monster only has 1400 attack. So you can summon this, and even if you don't mill anything, you can just enter battle phase if they don't play Duke Frog, which a lot of the TCG players are choosing to cut. And you can just attack over their Link monster, and then it just takes away one of their interruptions, which is really cool. Three Miru. It just allows you to mill cards. It's like there's like a mill 8 combo with this card. Three Rhino Heart. I think he's overall the best normal summon. You can play Sea Mare and you can play Fusion Deployment. I just don't think those cards are really needed. And then three Shaylin. She's the one that really you can really abuse with Redoer, being able to act as an extender and like overlaying into Redoer and then Redoer fusing on your opponent's turn, which is really nice. One call by. I decided to play more break board cards in the main deck because I felt like I couldn't fit enough hand traps for it to be relevant, and I honestly do not really care for hand traps against Tearlaments if it's not cards like DD Crow and Ash Blossom. So I decided just to go three Dark Ruler and more, just take care of the whole board. One Foolish because it can get to your Shadals, it can get to your King of the Swamp, or it can even get to your any of your Tearlament cards. It's just a good card. Instant Fusion. This card's are broken. If you draw this card, it's insane. Three of the broken field spell. This card's insane. If you draw this, your deck just outgrinds everything pretty much. Two poly. I decided to play desires in the deck. I maxed out on everything. I made sure like that desires is just really good in this deck. It just works really well with the dark rulers and the tactics that you'll see in a minute. And just allows the deck just to like have more of a push. Terraforming to get to the field spell. Three talents. I like talents. You can play Droplet. I just don't really care for Droplet against Sprite that much. And talents is very good in the mirror because if they use Hoffins on your turn 1, you can look at their hand or draw cards or whatever. And then we play one of each of the trap. I've considered bumping up one of these. I don't know which one. I thought about playing three, but you don't really want to open the traps. But they are very good in the grind game. Extra deck, I play one window. You can play a second window if you choose to, because a lot of the time, what people will do is they'll make a window with Redoer, with Shaylin under it, and they will use Shaylin, or they'll use Redoer, detach Shaylin, fuse into a second window after they like imperm or droplet the first window, or out the window in general, to keep them locked. One Chimera, you can make it with Poly, but you can't make it with the regular fusion. So this card's cuttable if you decide you don't want to play the King of the Swamp package, but I think the King of the Swamp package is really powerful. One Caliga, one Mud Dragon. We don't play Super Poly, but the reason you play this is because sometimes you need a level 4 to make Redoer off of the Tearlaments, but this card is definitely cuttable if you decide that you don't want to play it, and there's some cards up here that I would consider playing over one of these cards, and I'll get to that in a minute. 2 Draco Stapelia, this is 100% needed. 1 Kaleido Heart, I only think you need 1. 2 Kit Cleos, the best card in the deck. This card's insane. But you only need 2, just because you can recycle it. 1 Zeus, 1 Redoer, 1 Dweller. I like Dweller, because in the mirror match, if you can make a Dweller against your opponent, it's really, really hard to come back from. If they active or if you make Dweller and you Dweller them for a turn, you're probably killing them on your next turn. And then I decided, since I'm playing the Dangers, that I wanted to play a Dark package and an Access Code package to be able to kill. The only thing that's unfortunate about this is that these are both Darks. So this may need to be a Selene. I've considered this to be a Selene instead, so I can pop 2 with Access Code. But right now I'm just playing the Unicorn to be able to deal with floodgates such as D-Fissure. Also, you can deal with Necro Valley or like those type of floodgates that people will side in against the deck. So these are the options you can also play in the side deck. You can play a second window, a Baguska. Baguska's really good against pretty much everything right now. Like if your hand's just really bad, you can make a Baguska and probably live a turn, and plus he doesn't detach for cost, so he also triggers all of your Tearlaments when you detach them. Exciton Knight, you can play this against the back row decks. You can just clear their board. I mean, it's just a good card, right? Starving Venom. This card is more of like a fringe playable. I don't know if it's actually good enough. The only reason you would play it is to be able to out the Adagnister, Arrival, and other big monsters that are just like impossible to out. The only way you can actually make this card is with polymerization, because it has to be dark monsters on field, which is unfortunate. Branded Fusion. The reason I put this in here is because some people like to play the Branded Fusion version of the deck. I do not prefer. I don't really like that version, and the reason is because Branded Fusion locks you out of being able to make links as well as Redoer, Dweller, stuff like that. And I think that just takes a lot away from the deck. I think it makes the Dangers a lot weaker, so you really can't play the Dangers in that, and the Dangers help fix a lot of your bad hands. And overall, Mirror Jade's just not that powerful. Like in this deck, like your inboard's good enough. Like the inboard isn't the problem. The problem is just like playing through interruptions. Really, like you don't really care about like your inboard. Your inboard's like a window plus a Draco Stapelia plus like a Redoer or something a lot of the time. Fusion Deployment. I don't really like this card. You can summon Kaleido off of it, but a lot of the time, if you want more normal summons, well, like this isn't a normal summon. If you want more of this type of effect, I would just go with Supreme Sea Mare. I think this card is just superior to Fusion Deployment because it allows you to be able to use both dumps in the same turn. So, like, let's say we open Supreme Sea Mare, we can go like, for example, summon him, make a Kikleos, and then like you can use Kikleos' effect to special summon Reinhardt, and then Reinhardt can dump another guy. Where if that was fusion deployment, you can't use 2 Reinhardt's effects in the same turn. So it's just like it's just a nombo, right? It just doesn't work well together if you open multiples. And Reinhardt you can get to in almost every hand, like it's really easy to get to. So that's everything I want to talk about the deck. I think the deck's really strong. I think it's definitely one of the best. It's either this or Sprite. I think are just the best decks right now, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe.
All right, guys. So that is our take on the Tearlaments deck, and I'm really excited for this deck. I think this is going to be the deck that I try to play at the start of the format and hopefully master and take to all my events. I think this deck is really fun. I love milling decks, Lightsworn and everything. But with that being said, that's going to be the end of today's video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.